All right, we are now recording. Welcome to the Cloud CMA tutorial. Before we get started, I'm going to see if we can do this. I've got a poll for you all to take just to get kind of a sense as to what your experience level has been with CMA, with Cloud CMA. That way I know how to kind of tailor this tutorial. So in just a second here, I'm going to launch a poll, which I just did. If you could answer, I think you just click on one of the answers. Thank you. Very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all answering. So this class is going to be perfect for you because I'm really going to start kind of from scratch on how to use Cloud CMA and also give you some best practices for using Cloud CMA. I prefer this to the other CMA platforms we have access to. As we get into it, I'll show you one downfall to it is the lack of market stats inside of it. But I think you'll see once we get to that point that the reports that are put together, first of all, it's a really, really easy platform to use and to create CMAs and valuations. It's very user-friendly, but then on the flip side, it's an incredibly professional report that is then generated to share with your clients in a variety of ways. You can print it, take it with you to listing appointment. You can share it via email. There's a slideshow preview that you can send to them. You can download it to share on an iPad if that's how you're doing your listing presentations. There's just a lot of different ways that you can use this platform. And I think that it's the way that the information is displayed on the reports is phenomenal. I love it. So I want to show you real quick before we get started where you can get the resources that I'm going to share with you in this class. I'm on BH Genius right now. And I'm going to click here on Resource Corner. And then I'm going to click the orange plug here, the class resources. And then there is now a tile that I've added as of last night that's Cloud CMA. So if you click on this, and don't see anything, it's because you're not logged in. Up here at the top corner, you can see the BHG logo. If you're logged into your Kansas City Homes account, you shouldn't have any issue whatsoever seeing this. If you're not logged into your Kansas City Homes account, you might get an error when you try to view this. So make sure that you are logged in to drive with your kansascityhomes.com account. But these are the some of the resources that we're going to go over today. I had sent a link out this morning in the email to the participant workbook. I'll just give you a preview of that. This is a how-to on everything that I'm going to cover today. So if you have not accessed it yet, after the class, you might want to access this. If you've got a printer at home, might be helpful to print this out and save it for later when you get into Cloud CMA and start walking through all of this on your own. It really walks you through step by step with screenshots, everything that I'm going to cover today with you. So that's where you can find that participant workbook. I am also going to, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to put this file into the chat for you as well. Give me just a second while I get into this and attach it. You get to see my messy drive here while I do this. It's all sorted in different ways for me here, which is just fantastic. Here's CMA class. And then let me get the participant workbook. Okay, hopefully you see that now in your chat box. The PDF there that you can download. You don't necessarily need to do it right now, but you'll certainly want to do it later after class to be able to walk through all of this on your own. And of course, like I mentioned, this is being recorded, so you'll have access to this recording to go back through it as well. So let's get rolling here. The first thing I'm going to show you is how do you access Cloud CMA? There's a couple different ways that you can access it. On your Heartland MLS dashboard, it is a single sign-on link here, the Cloud CMA. If you click through on this, You'll get taken to your Cloud CMA dashboard, which should look something like this. It'll automatically log you in. If you're logged in into Heartland MLS on the dashboard, you'll automatically be logged into Cloud CMA. It's a single sign-on. Just a couple navigation things while we're here. This is how I would create a new CMA. I would click Create New Report. These are the CMAs that I've created most recently. And from here, we'll get into this when we get into the actual reports. But from here, I can view the PDF of this report. I can view the slideshow preview that I was talking to you about. I can edit the report so I can go back and massage it if I need to. And then these three dots up here, this is where I use this quite a bit once I've published reports. This is what I will oftentimes, if I'm sending evaluation to a client, I'll copy the PDF link here and copy the slideshow link. You can also email the report from here and delete. So we'll get into more of that functionality once we get into really kind of the down and dirty with the reports and how kind of best practices that I have for using these different options. But just wanted to show you where those exist. Okay, so first place that I want to take you here is right up here on the upper right. You'll see my picture. If you don't have a picture in Cloud CMA, I'm going to show you how to put one in. Yours might be your initials up here in the corner when you get in, but we're going to go in here and look at your account settings and just get things set up correctly for you. This will be one of the to-dos for you after class. So I click on my picture and I'm going to account settings. And then I come to this screen and we're going to work our way down these pretty quickly here. But just want to show you different options that you have here in setting up your account. So you can change, this is where you change your picture. They call it an avatar. If you don't have a picture that you're using, it'll show your initials. But if you click on the change avatar, it'll allow you to upload your headshot, which I recommend doing. Your full name, if your name isn't correct or you go by a nickname, you might want to change your name. Company name, I wouldn't recommend changing that one. Company logo, you should have one defaulted in here. If you don't, I have one in here already. I can certainly upload a new one if I want to use a different logo. I use our green BHG logo, and that should be what's defaulted for you as well. Your email address, city that you're in state. So those are your options under profile, pretty general and self-explanatory. Working our way down to contact information. This is your contact information that's going to appear on the reports. So any contact information that you want to appear on the reports, you need to put in here. To add a new, if I wanted to add, for instance, my office phone number, I could do that. Right up here in these boxes, I'd first select from the drop down, and I want to add a office phone. And I think it'll appear below exactly how you type it up here. So I want to make sure it's formatted just like my cell phone number is down below. And I hit add. If I want to take any of these out, I just hit the trash can and it's gone. But this will appear on, let me click over and show you where this shows up on a report. It's showing up right here at the bottom. Hopefully you can see that. I'll try to zoom in a little bit. I know it's cloudy, it's because we're previewing a PDF, but it'll be a lot clearer on your reports. But your contact information is going to show up right at the bottom of every page of a report. So I don't get too crazy with the amount of contact information that I put in here. I make it pretty minimal, just my mobile, email, and website. But you're welcome to add and do what you want to with the contact information that you put on there. Again, I'm in account settings under contact info. Next one down is pretty self-explanatory. This is your password. If you want to change that, you certainly can. Your MLS credentials, we're not going to mess with those unless you get in here and something isn't connecting correctly with MLS. This is where you would want to come. If your MLS credentials ever change, you'd also want to come here and make sure that you're updating it. This will affect your ability to use single sign-on. So if you click through from the dashboard on Cloud CMA and your MLS credentials aren't correct, you might you might have some issues on this screen. Hopefully that made sense. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask or put questions in the chat screen. I am monitoring that, or you can raise your hand. That gives me a little alert that somebody has a question. So feel free to slow me down or to stop me to ask any questions as we're going through this. Okay, the next one down here is custom pages, and we're going to spend just a few minutes in here. So Cloud CMA has some custom pages. They've got some default custom pages that everybody has access to. And then you also, this is one of the things I love about Cloud CMA. You also have the ability to upload your own custom pages. You may have noticed when I pulled up my sample report that we're going to look at later, let me zoom back out of this, that my cover page looks a lot different. This is a custom cover page that I did in Canva and then downloaded it as a PDF and put it into Cloud CMA. The reason that I like using this custom cover is if I'm ever competing against another agent on a listing and I show up with the standard Cloud CMA, you've got a lot of customization options with your covers. But I know a lot of you are using the standard Matrix CMA, and there's very little customization that you can do on the Matrix CMA. And I found that if you show up and you've got the standard cover, the standard look, even though the information beyond the cover page might be very different, you've pulled different comps, you have used your expertise and valued their house in a different way. But when you lay that down on the table in front of a seller, if your cover is identical to the agent that was just there, they're immediately going to think, I've seen this. The custom cover really kind of sets my report apart from anybody else's. So this is what, and I realize it's hard to see on the screen because it's so massive right now. Let me see if I can zoom out here. This is what my report cover looks like. I put this on every one of my reports. So how do I get that into Cloud CMA? It's right here in custom pages. So you have the ability to add your own custom PDF pages. You'll see there's my report cover right there. To upload your own PDFs, right at the bottom of the screen is a green button, Upload PDF. So once you have something created, whether you're using Publisher, Pages, if you're a Mac user, if you're using Canva, download those, save them as a PDF, and then you can upload them right to here. And the size that you want to use is just your standard 8.5 by 11. But this is where you can add your own customized cover. You could add additional pages as well. It's not just cover. You're not limited to cover. You can add whatever you want to. There are times where I mentioned at the get-go that Cloud CMA does not have a lot of the current market stats in it. So if I've got somebody, if I've got a seller, a potential client that I know is really analytical, is going to want to see stats, or if there's some good stats that I want to show, I might put those into a PDF and upload them in here so I can include those in my report to them. This, for example, is from Heartland MLS. This was an example I did a while ago. This is from December of 18, so it tells you how old this is. But you might go on Heartland MLS and pull some of the stats that are available for you, upload them into here so you've got access to them to put right into your CMA reports. That's how you add the upload PDF. That's how you add your own custom pages. There are some default pages that you might want to come in. I would recommend spending some time. Now is a perfect time to do it. Sounds like we're going to have some downtime. Come in here and update these pages. Your default pages, it's the agent resume, the client testimonials, a cover letter, marketing action plan, and our company. This custom page, that's another form for my cover. But under agent resume, you'll notice as I menu over the title, there's a little eyeball. You're going to see this repeated throughout the website. The eyeball gives you a preview. So if I click on this eyeball, I can see what my agent resume looks like right now. That's a preview of it. Notice that these custom pages are going to keep the formatting of your entire report the same. So it has my name up at the top, and then down below, there's my contact information. You saw that on the report, the sample report that I pulled up. It's going to, wherever you put it in your report, it's going to add a page number. It really makes the presentation to your sellers or your potential clients seamless. So it doesn't look like you've printed this from another source and then stuffed it in the middle of your presentation, listing presentation to them. To edit this page, you click on the pencil right here next to it. So if I click on this pencil, it's going to pull up a page that's going to allow me to, I can come in here and I can delete stuff. I can edit this. When I'm done with this, I close it and it is saved. I'm going to undo that. You've got some format options up here. This is, if you want to add your picture, that's where that option is right there. To add a picture, to let you upload one. If I want to menu to the other pages, I can do that right here from the drop down instead of having to close out of this and hit the pencil next to everyone. I can go to any of these right from here and update them. I did a page, they've got this page available. I will get to your question, Pam, in just a second. Absolutely use a picture of the home on, Pam just asked if you could use a picture of the home. You certainly could on the cover. That'd be a great idea. If you want to customize it for every CMA that you're doing, sure, use, get a good quality picture of the house and put that onto your cover. The client testimonials, I copied and pasted these right from Real Satisfied. If you're using another platform, you could do the same. This Cloud CMA now integrates with Real Satisfied. It integrates with several other client review websites. And when we get into it, I'll show you how you access those. So you don't really need to come in and do the client testimonials. They are displayed a little bit differently than the baked in pages, but this will make, what I'm saying right now will make a lot more sense once we get into the report and I show you how to customize. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time here, but did want to show you where you customize and add, customize their default pages and then add your own custom PDF pages. Norma, to answer your question, I uploaded as a PDF my cover page. I realized when I did the custom pages here, I really need to delete this. It really didn't, this does not show well on a report. If you're going to do a cover page, upload that as a PDF. Don't do the custom page like I've done here. It really kind of messes it up as you add it to your screen. I'll show you that when we get into customization, but I recommend if you're going to upload, you've got to upload into a PDF. The one page on here that I would pay attention to is the marketing action plan. This allows you to put into your CMA your marketing plan, your customized marketing plan. They've got some baked in language on the default one, but you can go in there and make changes to that, add pictures, really format it and make it look pretty slick. Okay, so that is custom pages. Any other questions before I move on custom pages? Okay, the next one down, I am going to show you something in integrations real quick. These are all of the integrations that you can add into Cloud CMA. These are all different agent rating and testimonial websites. The only one that I use is Real Satisfied. So I put my Real Satisfied vanity key in here. There are step-by-step instructions in the workbook, the participant workbook, on how you find your vanity key for Real Satisfied. For most of you, it's just going to be just like mine is here. It's your first name dash last name, but you do want to go follow those directions, go on to Real Satisfied to get your vanity key. If you get into Cloud CMA and your Real Satisfieds are not being integrated, they should be integrated. But I would come over here, again, come to account settings and then go to integrations here on the left and make sure that you've got the correct vanity key in here. Billing, don't worry about this. Right now we've got free access to Cloud CMA through HMLS, so don't need to worry about anything here in the billing tab. Okay, so that covers our settings. So any questions about any of the settings, any of the things that I showed here in account settings before we move on and jump into creating and using the platform? Zillow does integrate. Right here is where you would put your Zillow. Pam just asked if Zillow integrates. Right there is where Zillow integrates. You would put your Zillow, they call it the screen name or the email that you use for your Zillow account. That's where you would put it. Yes, to answer your question, if you have a good rating, absolutely use it. You know, even I tell people with testimonials and the ratings and reviews, even if you don't have, you know, perfect ratings, use it. Oftentimes consumers think that if all of your ratings are 5 stars and perfect, that they're fake. So even if you've got like a 98, 96%, go ahead and use it on here. They want to know what other people, you know, that's a big thing right now for consumers. They want to know how other consumers have rated you. And again, if it looks fake, they're not going to believe it. So it's okay if you don't have one that's perfect. Go ahead and use it. Okay, I am going to go back out to Heartland MLS and I'm going to show you how you can use Cloud CMA to create a CMA from Matrix. There is an easy button for you to do this inside of Matrix. You don't have to come like we did to the through the single sign-on here, the dashboard. You can come in here to start a report. I think it's far easier to start your report once you're inside of Matrix. So I'm going to go inside Matrix here. And I'm going to skip a couple steps. If you're doing a real, you know, a CMA for a client, you obviously need to do your research, spend some time in Matrix and figure out what homes, what comparables you want to use for your CMA. I'm going to skip that part. Really, this is a focus on just using the Cloud CMA platform, not necessarily how to research and find comparables for a CMA. So I'm on my home screen of Matrix and I'm going to cheat and go to a cart where I already have some comps in here. So I'm going to show this from starting with, you know, here are the comps that I've pulled for this client's house. And these are the comps that I want to use in my analysis. I need to look up something really fast here before I get started because I did not write this down before the class. Give me just a second here. Okay. 8.5. Okay. Back on track. So here are the comps that I want to use for my CMA. I've selected all of these in Matrix. I put them, first I put them into this cart and now they're all here for me. So I select all of these. This is what I want to use for my report. So many of you are used to going right down here in the blue bar to the CMA. That's what you would click on to go through the Matrix CMA. Instead of clicking there, we're going to click right here on Cloud CMA. What this will do is it'll open up the start of a CMA on the cloud platform using these comps. So let's hit Cloud CMA and it's going to pop us right over into the platform and we've got our first screen to start creating our CMA. So we're going to work from top to bottom, left to right. So you'll see that we've got kind of a couple different options here. We're going to start up here in the upper left quadrant. We're going to enter the client name. Oops, I need to delete what was in there, sorry. I'm going to spell their name correctly, it's a tricky name. This doesn't appear anywhere on your report. It's more for you to be able to differentiate the reports. Once you're on your, let me go to the dashboard real quick. Once you're here, this is the report name up here where it says, if I click on it, it gives me options. So I don't want to put my mouse over it, but right under where my mouse is now, the Susie Q, 123 Main Street, Harris family over here, that's where you see the client report. It doesn't show up on the actual report, so just know that. Any notes that you want to make, I usually try to put just a best practice. I put in here what date I did this. That way, if I ever need to come back, you know, if you go on, we all do it, you go on a listing appointment, they're not ready to list for 6 months and you can't remember when you last updated their CMA. So I like keeping a date in here so I know when I've done this. So here's the subject property. So this is where I'm going to enter their property address. Doing an autocomplete for me, which is nice. I'm going to select from this drop down. This is the correct address here. And then it's going to pull in information that it can find through our, through Matrix, through Realist. I can make changes to this if I know that they've added on to the house. If the square footage isn't correct, if they've added bedrooms or bathrooms, I can certainly add that on here. This is where I can add a photo of the house. So if I have a photo of the house, Pam, you were asking earlier about using a picture of the house. I could add a picture right here if I wanted to. If I'm using one of their default covers that are in the system, it would use this picture. So that might be an easier way to customize by using a picture of the house versus uploading a new PDF every time you're doing a report. You do want to make sure that you've got a good quality picture though, otherwise it's going to look really grainy on your report. I'm going to click right here. You see this advanced info. I'm going to click here because I like adding some of this stuff or at least verifying it. Year built, the lot size, the lot dimensions. I usually don't do the tax. I do garages. This is MLS area. This is in area 335. The subdivision is Copper Creek and the style of the house is a 2-story. So I like adding in that additional information. You don't have to. Okay. So this next quadrant down here, the third portion of this, this asks how you want the system to pull comparative listings. We already selected all of these MLS numbers and pulled into here. So I really don't need to do anything else right now except fetch listings. But if you haven't selected MLS listings from here and you want the system to select them for you, you can do that right here. It's called, they call it the quick and dirty. If I have a client that you know calls me last minute, says, hey, Christian, we've got to list our house quick. Can you come over at 7 o'clock tonight and do a walkthrough with us? Tell us what we need to do to get it prepared. I don't do a full CMA for them before I go. What I do is come in here and I'll do a quick and dirty and I'll just pull activity in their neighborhood to take with me. I'm not doing a valuation on their house necessarily, but I do go prepared with information on what's going on in their neighborhood. And this is where I get that. I come into Cloud CMA. I don't start with MLS numbers. Instead, I click on automatically find listings. You can select on how many listings. I don't overwhelm them. 10 is plenty. How far back do you want to go? You've got a lot of options here. I don't go back typically further than a year unless it's a really unique property. And then again, if you click on this more criteria, you can drill down then even further and say you only want 3 to 4 bedrooms, 2 to 3 bathrooms, square footage. You can go by lot size and you can go by list price. If you choose this option, notice this or button in the middle here. If you choose this option, it's going to ignore these MLS numbers and the system is going to pull automatically. So once you go to the next step, you will have the ability, if you do it this way, to unselect listings. So if it's pulled something that's in a totally different neighborhood, while it's close in proximity, it's really not comparable, you can unselect those. You're not bound to what the 10 listings it pulls. It just gives you something to start with if you haven't gone into Matrix and done your research yet. I'm going to unselect that though, because we've done our research and we have our MLS numbers right here. And I'm going to go ahead and hit fetch listings down here. Yep, I have another window open, so that's good. It kicked me out. Hold on. Let me go back in here and start it over. I shouldn't have opened that other window. Give me just a second here. Pretty sure I just misspelled their name, but that's all right. We're just trying to get information in here to do an example. All right. We've got our MLS numbers. There we go, fetch listings. Hopefully this gives me the right screen. There we are, that's the screen I wanted. You'll see up here at the top, kind of the top left, it'll tell you what section you're on. There's only there's only 3 sections here to create your CMA. The first was our criteria screen that we just came from. This is the listing screens. Next, we're gonna go to customize, and then publish is the last step, which really, there's not any input there. So from here, it's pulled in the listings that I wanted. If I want to deselect any of these, if I decide, you know what, I really don't want to use that one, it's kind of the oddity, let's just select that one. Right here in this green box, if I click on the listing, I can deselect that, it'll gray it out for me. You can also do that right down here in the list. So if you don't want to use that, or you've unselected it and you want to reselect it, you can click right here. Right here in the purple box is your subject property. If I was ready to set a price for this, I would put my price in right here. So I'm gonna make up something here. This, whatever you put in here will show up on the report. You can put a range in here if you want to, which that's what I typically do. I give them a range. We all know it's a little challenging right now to price houses, so I try to give them a range and then talk it through with them. You'll notice this little tiny, I know it's probably hard to see and read from your screen. This says price guide and net sheet. If you click this down, this gives you some pricing guides based on the comps that you've selected and pulled in. It's going to show you what the low, the median, the average, the high is, your average cost per square foot. Everything I pulled in is sold. If I had any actives, it would show me here the actives and then a sold comparison, and then of course all up here at the top. So this tells me based on the comps I pulled in, the suggested price range that the system would give. I really don't put a lot of weight into this. By the time I've gotten to this point, I pretty much know, because of research that I've done in Matrix already, where I'm going to list, what range I'm going to give this client. So I don't use the tools inside of here to price the house. At this point, I've already done it. This is presentation when I get to this point. But it is here for you. You also have the ability down here to put in some expenses. So if you know that you're going to recommend to them that they need to replace the roof, I think this is really dangerous because you're giving them approximate costs on stuff. I don't like putting that in writing. I'm not a roofer. I have no idea how much the replacement of their roof is going to be unless they have a written estimate. I think it's really dangerous to ballpark this stuff, but you can. As you do this, it's going to tell them what their net is after these expenses. If you hit save here, it'll save this and it'll give you another one. And then you can always go back and delete those. Again, I really don't use this functionality, but I do want to show you that it's there. I'm going to click on this and minimize this. Any questions on that? Feel free at any time, like I said, unmute yourself, ask questions, or put something in the chat box if you do have questions. Just a second, I'm just making sure my chat box is up correctly here. Mary asked if I always give them an estimate for the house. Yes, I do. That's the expertise that they're looking for from me. Are you referring to the, I assume that you're referring to the valuation, the price range that I think they should list at. But I always give them a range. I typically never give them a drilled down exact price. It's always usually a range, and typically I try to use about a $10,000 range. So you know where they're going to go. They're going to go right to the top. So be cognizant of that when you give them the range. But you're going to need to justify why you're giving them a range. So be prepared to justify the valuation that you are giving them. But I always give them a valuation unless it's a, I will tell you, this is just the way that I work. Not everybody works this way, but I usually do a two-step listing process for evaluation. I go by one time, look at the property, sit down with them, really go through things in detail, and then I immediately come back and do my research and give them a valuation. Typically, I'm sharing that valuation with them via email. with links to these reports. So I'll show you when we get there the differences in the report that I give them when we were back on listings, on criteria, excuse me. This is what I use for my first step. This is what I use once I've done my first step. I've seen the house. I've got my drill down comps I want to use. That's when I come in here and I put in that price range. But typically my first time out with them, I'm just showing them what's going on in the marketplace. And I can customize these reports to include different information, which you'll see in just a second. Sorry for a very long-winded answer to your question. Down here on listings, a couple things here just navigational wise. You can select your sort option. So it'll oftentimes sort by, I don't know, I can't remember what the default is, but I don't like what their default is. Typically, I try to sort it by where is it, status, right down here. So I can get active at the top and then sold down from there. This one I've got all sold, so it doesn't really matter. You can sort it by sold date. This is the order that they will appear in the report as well. You can also do manually. If you want to manually sort these with kind of the best comp down to the outliers, if you do manually, you'll notice now my mouse is I call it the little cross, and I can drag these and put them in whatever order I want them in. If I select a sold date, I then get these options right here. This would be the most recent. If I want to do reverse order, I want to do the most recent at the bottom. I can toggle between that right here. If I want to make adjustments to the properties, right underneath the checkbox here, this details and adjustments, this opens up a preview basically of the details. This is a really cool feature. So if I want to put a note in here on, you know, these are the MLS remarks. If I want to say here, obviously some agents get really creative with their remarks. If I want to put my own remarks in here and my own notes in here about this house, I can do that. Again, I clicked right here on details and adjustments, and I can say, you know, windows weren't updated, backed to busy street, condition subpar. So I can put my own notes right there. I can delete the MLS notes if I want to. And then this will print on the report for them. So I know in the past, before this was an option, I would handwrite, which I still do that on occasion. I'll handwrite things on my CMAs, but this allows you to type everything, which is nice. Down here, it gives you some features. You can't make changes to this, but you can do adjustments down here. I, as a business practice, don't do adjustments. I think that once a house sells, it obviously sold in the condition that it was in. I make note of the condition that it was in, but I don't make adjustments for that. I think that's all done in your pricing. But I don't come in here and say, oh, it didn't have new windows. So I'm not an appraiser. I don't know, you know, this one had a 3-car garage. A house we're doing has a 2-car. What's the value on that? Well, I know a rough value on it, but it changes, and I'm not an appraiser and I'm not going to pretend to be one. So I don't make adjustments. I know that some agents do, and that's completely fine. It's just not my area of expertise. So I don't do that. I really take it into consideration when I give them that valuation on the house and give them my rationale for the valuation. So hopefully that made sense. I'm going to hit update here, and it's going to update the description and basically save that. Once I'm done making any adjustments, changing description on this, you just click on details and adjustments again, and it'll minimize that, and you can go to the next one. If I have forgotten a listing or something new comes on the market and I want to add that into here, or there's a for sale by owner that wasn't in MLS, and remember I pulled all these over from MLS, right down here at the bottom is an add listing button. If I click on this, I can add it with an MLS number. It'll automatically pull everything in, or I can add an off-market listing. So I can add a for sale by owner and add the details in here, put my own description in. I can choose a photo, use this advanced info. and this, all of this info you can find on tax record. A lot of it will pull up automatically for you once you enter your property address. But this is a way to add off-market listings. So good feature in here. This is a feature that's not available in all of our CMA platforms, and in some areas becomes really useful to be able to pull these right into your report. Okay, any questions on, yes, RPR would work. I am a big fan of RPR. I love RPR. I'm going to attend my friend Scott's class at noon. He's doing a full class on RPR. What I'm not a fan of on RPR are their reports. The reports get really heavy and convoluted. I think for a CMA report, Cloud CMA is superior product to RPR. RPR, I love using from an agent perspective to do my research before I even get to this point. When I'm looking at MLS for comparables, I'm clicking through to RPR all the time to look at things. And there's a lot of value that's offered in RPR. From a CMA standpoint, Cloud CMA is a much easier platform to use, and I think their reports are simplified a lot better for a client. I'll probably get some backlash for saying that about RPR because I'm one of their biggest fans and I beta test a lot of stuff for them, but just my personal opinion. You can join that RPR class today. The email that I sent out this morning had a link. They do want you to pre-register, but I'm going to put a link. I'll put a link in the chat here for you. I think this will work. Oh, where's my link? Hold on. Oh, here we are. Here's a Zoom link for you to join this RPR class. I think it'll be phenomenal. It'll be a good follow-up to what you're doing right now. I don't know that if you need to pre-register or not. The link to pre-register, I'll put in the chat as well. Just don't go do it right now. Here is the link to pre-register. It's pretty easy. You just put your name and email address in, and then it sends you that first link that I sent to join the class. Amy Charoux is going to be on there as well from BHGRE. I'll be on there. Scott, Amy, and I are meeting later today to game plan a lot of other classes we could offer next week. So stay tuned for more. But I think you'll enjoy that RPR class. I know I'm going to join it. Okay, back to Cloud CMA here. Any questions on this page before I go to our next step? Again, at this point in my process when I'm doing a CMA, I'm not spending a whole lot of time on this page. I've spent my time doing my research in RPR, in Matrix. I've been looking at Realist. When I get to this point, I'm pretty drilled in, dialed into what my price range is going to be, my suggested list price range, and what comps I'm using. So this page I spend maybe a minute on when I'm going through a CMA. Okay, I am going to go to the next step, customize report. This is where we're going to have some fun. We're going to spend some time in here. Okay, bear with me. I don't want to confuse you, but I want to show you what all of your options are in here. So just navigation stuff first. Over here in the gray bar, these are all of the pages that you can add into your report. We're now at a page where I'm going to customize what the client's going to see. This is where I want you to take some time and get this set up for how you want to present CMAs. I'm going to teach you how to save it as a template. That way, when you're trying to do a CMA and you get to this page to customize, you already have all your presets set up. I'm going to show you how to do that, but I want to show you functionality, what your options are first. Up here under standard, this is really where we're going to live. These pages down here are premium. You have to pay for them. This is where I got the idea for my custom cover. I think I clicked on one of Tom Ferry's pages and thought, well, I can just make that myself. I don't need to use theirs. You can click on these and view them and see what they're doing. That one's not very fancy. I wouldn't pay for that. Let's see what that one looks like. That's a lot of words on the page. Not really a big fan of that. Again, I wouldn't worry about these. Don't worry about those unless you want to pay for them. You've got a ton of options up here. It doesn't look like it right now. In a second, I'm going to expand all these sections. And you're going to see, I'm going to do something here in just a second. Once you have your kind of standard set up, when you hit that customize report, it's going to pull up for you. The pages that it pulls into here are going to be what you last used. So if you're using the same thing every time and you get to this page here, you're not going to have to do a whole lot of customization. You're going to spend some time here getting this all set up, but once you're moving and grooving with CMAs, you're not going to have to do a whole lot when you get to this page. So this shows me what I last used. Right now, these are the pages that are going to be included in my report. If I hit publish report right now, these are the pages I'm going to get. So I want to show you how you set this up. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to remove all of these pages and we're going to start from scratch. So to remove all of these, you hit the red delete button right here. So I'm going to take all of these out so I can show you what it looks like when you start from scratch. Okay, I've got nothing selected. Under here, you've got all these drop downs. Cloud CMA has put these in order of how they think you might want to use all the different pages, but this is really where you can have some fun customizing stuff. So under introduction, we've got our title page. I'm not going through every one of these, or we'll be here until 3 p.m. If you click on the eyeball, you can see what this looks like. You can get a PDF preview. This is the standard cover page for Cloud CMA. Not real pretty. I like my title page a little bit better, so I don't use this, but this is what you would use. I didn't put in a custom photo, so it's giving me, I mean, this looks ugly, this picture. It's giving me just an aerial view that they pulled from Google. If I had put in a picture on the criteria page, this is where that picture would show up. So Pam, this might be an easy option for you. You wanted to use pictures of houses, just put it in on the criteria and then you can pull it in here if you don't want to go through having to do a custom cover. So to add this over to my report, I would hit the plus button. So if I want to add any of these pages over to the report, I'm going to add, for this one, I'm going to add my agent resume. Again, those were over in your custom pages. You've gone to custom pages, you've gotten all this stuff set up. So now you can just add it into your report. If you need to customize it for this CMA, right here, you can see when I mouse over these, I've got an edit button. I can edit my cover letter right here. I don't use the cover letter a whole lot. I'll show you what it looks like. It just kind of gives them a, here's what's included in this. Usually I'm talking through this as opposed to putting it in a formal cover letter. But you can edit the custom pages, the default custom pages right here. I want to add our company page. The contact me, I don't like that actually in introduction. I like it at the end of the report, but we're going to add it and I'll show you how you can move it to the end of the report. That's all I'm going to add in introduction. Setup. I want to add a summary of comparable properties. Oop, I didn't mean to click on that. That gives you, well, we will view this. That gives you a summary of the properties that I pulled in from Matrix. And I like the way that this lays out. At the top, you have the client's property address. And then this is a summary of the homes that are included in the report. So good information, good snapshot view here of all these houses that are included in the report. Down here, it gives you some averages. If I had some that were active, it would split apart the solds and actives and under contract down here. But I like this as a snapshot view page. So now we're going to do, I'm going to add a map of all listings. And then under the listings, this page here, these are title pages, so it separates the report for you, which I really kind of like. If I click on preview here, you can see what I mean. This is just a title page. So it separates your sections of the report. There's one here available for listing. So I'm going to add this because I want, oh, again, I clicked on the wrong thing. You've got to click on the green plus. Okay. Here's how you keep your report from being 800 pages long. Take note of this. Right here, this is under listings. I want to add details of the listings. I want to add photos. I want the first dozen photos. Now that we have the ability in Matrix to add up to 100 pictures, and some agents do, you can peel off. You can just use the first dozen photos. If you click on the more photos, if somebody has 88 pictures, your report's going to include a lot of pages with all of their pictures. So I typically omit this. I don't include the more photos because I want to keep my report as concise as I can. If I've made adjustments, which I don't do, but if you do that and want to include that, you can add that right there. Analysis, this is, we'll preview this one. This is a comparable property statistics. Just gives them a really good high level, you know, here are of the sold listings that are pulled into this report, the highest, the average, the low, cost per square foot, average days on market, sold listings. Again, if I had a report that had actives and pending show for backup, you would see that. Let me click over to here. I think I used, sorry, I don't mean to make you sick here. Okay, there's an example of that summary of comparable properties. You can see that it separates out your actives from your solds. I'm going to have to scroll all the way down for a second. This report's 50 pages. Let's see if I have that in here. I don't have that page in this one. Shoot, I can't show it to you. But again, if you had actives under contract, it would separate that out by color. It's a really nice view. You know, it looks really sharp for the client. So I'm going to add that page. I love the online valuation. Let me show you what this looks like in the report. Let me go back up to the top here. So everybody's always, the sellers are concerned about, well, Zillow says my house is worth X. This gives them, excuse me, pardon me for just a second. This is the online valuation analysis. So this is the houses that I pulled in for this CMA. It shows them, excuse me, the address, the sold date, the sold price, and then what the Zestimate was. So they can see how accurate the Zestimates were on their neighbors' houses. This is a really good way to show them, not just talk them through it, but be able to show them facts on how accurate Zestimates are in their neighborhood. Okay, so that's a page that I really like. The sold property analysis is a good one. Suggested list price. This is what it looks like in Cloud CMA. I love it in Cloud CMA. Nice and big, visually appealing. There's not a lot of words on the page. It shows them the comparables. Again, it would break it out per status, but it really is a sharp looking page that's included in the CMA. I'm not going to go through every one of these. What I would recommend doing, spending some time, I told you, spend some time in here, figure out what all these pages are, which ones you want to use. The closing chapter, this is a lot of, here's your marketing action plan. These are a lot of those pages that are baked into a lot of CMAs. This is the commission distribution page. Shows them where the commission is going. Some of these pages, I will warn you, do have a lot of words on them. The intelligent pricing and timing, I like using this one. It's got that nice little graphic, talks about pricing the house right, showings versus, you know, weeks on market. But you've got some good stuff in here. Staging your home, this is a lot of words. I wish they had pictures, before and after pictures on here. You could, again, do your own custom pages if you want to, instead of using theirs. But go through, spend some time and go through these and figure out what you want to include in your report over here. I will show you down here, that's a lot of baked in stuff. Under testimonials down here, this is where I can add in, I have Real Satisfied pumping into here. So right here, I can add my Real Satisfied agent ratings. This is what it looks like. This shows the most recent testimonials you have, and it shows you your satisfaction ratings over on the side. So very similar look if you're using Zillow. It's a great tie in here. So we're going to add that page. Let me see what happens if I click on ratings and reviews for Zillow. It shows nothing because I don't have that synced. And then down here are the custom pages. These are going to be the pages you've uploaded in PDF. So these are the pages that I have uploaded in PDF. You remember my custom pages? So if I want to add my cover page, oh, that's not the one that I want to add. This is the one that I want to add. That cover page, I add it right here. You'll notice it's adding pages in here in the order that I'm clicking on. I obviously want my cover page at the very top. So you'll notice my mouse as I go over the pages. This gives me a preview. If I click on the title, it gives me a preview. If I come over here, it changes to the cross. And here I can click and hold, and I can drag this and put it in the order that I want it to be in. So I like having the cover photo, my agent resume, the company. I told you I like the contact me page. Show you what that looks like. I like that at the very end. I think that's a good closing page. So I'm going to move that to the end. I like my ratings up here. I'm going to put those underneath my listings chapter page. Once I have these in the order that I want them in, I'm done. I can hit, I've got these presets up here that we're going to go through in a second, but I can hit publish report, and it's going to publish the report for me with these pages. Let's talk about your customizations that are up here. Again, these will customize, these will save for you. So you really just need to do this once. And then when you come in and do CMAs, these are going to be defaulted for you. But I want to show you some different options here. Under theme, you'll notice when you pull this up, you have this drop down. You have a million different themes and customizations that you can do. I will tell you, a lot of people come in here and go, oh, there's a BHG one, we should use that. The colors are great, but if you click on this, the pages that you have access to now are different. I'm not crazy about the pages that are included. It's very limited on what I can include. All of a sudden, I've got a million pages over here. There are some pages that I like in the baked in stuff. This has the national branded stuff. So you're welcome to use this. My personal preference is to just use what I'm used to, and that is I choose the modern, the closest to our brand is the modern green. I choose that theme. And I probably lost all the pages that I put over there. I did. So I now have all sorts of pages here. I'm going to show you in a second how I can correct that. But I like using the modern green, but come in here and select what you like. The layout. This is going to, you have the option here how you want listings to be displayed. I like them on one page with the picture of the house and a map of the listing. I'll show you what that looks like over here. This is what that format looks like. Picture of the house, it's the first picture that's in MLS, and then a map of the listing, and then the listing details. If you would rather condense your report and have a column view, you have the option to have a 2-column view, 3 or 4-column view. This option here will give you your first 2 photos in MLS. This one will just be 1 photo with data starting up at the top as opposed to 2 photos. So everybody good on that? Is it making sense? Any questions so far on these customizations? I know I'm throwing a lot at you. Okay, I'm going to click out a layout. Again, once you select this, the next time you come back in to do a CMA, it'll default to this. I'm going to come back to template here in a second. Cover, I have no cover selected because I use my own. This is where I got the idea to use my own. If you click on this and you want to use one of these, you have to pay for it. It's a premium thing. But these are so easy to create. I'm going to see if I can find some time, I'm going to do some templates for you for some CMA covers, kind of an easy button in Canva to share with everybody. So stay tuned for that. Font, over here, you can select what font you want used. Lato, this is actually one of the BHG branded fonts, so that's what I use. I use Lato, but you can, again, whatever is easy on your eyes. I like the Roboto too, but I use Lato because it's one of the BHG fonts. It's what all my marketing stuff is done in, so I keep some consistency. Okay, let's talk about this, templates. Okay, this is what I want you to do on your to-do list, and this is in your workbook, is I want you to come in here, do a mock CMA, don't worry about the listings. I want you to come right to this customize page, and I want you to go through these and figure out for your standard CMA what pages you want to use. Once you have those over here in order, you have everything set up, you've got your theme done, your layout, etc. You're going to click on template. This is how we save your CMA. So everyone's is going to look a little different. I have given you a cheat sheet to what I use. If you want to start with that, you're more than welcome to. It's over here in the Cloud Resources folder. It's the down and dirty valuation pages that I include. So these are the pages in the order that I use. This is just a screenshot. There's my cover page, resume, all my stuff. So if you want a cheat sheet, you want something, at least something to start with, take a look at that, and you can use that kind of as your guide. This report that I've been pulling up is it's this report published is what you'll find here in the down and dirty example. So this will show you what all those pages look like in a published report, give you a preview of it. So once I have all of the pages in order, I've gone through, this is what I like for my CMA. I can always come back and change it. I can add things. I'm going to go to template, and I'm going to hit save as template. So when I hit save as template, this saves my setup that I have right here as a default. So I'm going to save this as Christian's 320 test and hit save. So now if I ever click on something, if I change the theme, for example, go black and gold here, yuck. And all of a sudden, all this work I've done to order my pages is all out of whack. All I have to do here is hit template. I go to custom. These are my templates. And I go right here to, there's my test that I just saved. I'm going to click on my quick CMA because that's what we're using, my evaluation report. That's what we were using before. And all of a sudden, my pages that I like using are right here in the order I like using them in. I need to go back and change my theme though to my modern green. Okay, Pam asked a question, where is the notebook? I'm not sure I know what you're asking on the notebook. Were you asking about the stuff that I had over here in these cheat sheets and resources that I had over here? If you want to unmute yourself. Oh, the training workbook. The training workbook, I emailed it out, a link to it out in this morning's training update email. If you click there, you'll be taken into this folder that's in Drive, and the workbook is right here. It's Cloud CMA Participant Workbook. So this will walk you through step by step everything that we've gone through today. How you go from matrix. This is that first page in the CMA, the listing page, and then the last section in here is how to customize your report. I walk you through how to save your template, and then the next step, which we're going to do next. But in there, in the same folder, is also some of these examples that I have for you, like your starting point for pages. If you want to use, you want a template to start from, here's mine if you want to use it. The other way to access all of these, BH Genius, if you go to your resources, go to class resource links, and then click on Cloud CMA, and this will boot you over into this Google Drive that has all of these resources. Okay, once we have, I'm going to change my theme here real quick before I forget. Give me just a second to get back on my green. I need to go back to my templates. I will tell you there are some baked in templates for you that Cloud CMA has done for you. When you go to this template, you'll see these are both the Cloud CMA and the templates that I have saved. If you go to built-in, these are the Cloud CMA ones. So those are all pages, an appraiser's report. They have a buyer's CMA, comps only, a pre-listing package built out for you, and a follow-up report. So you can always click on one of those and start with, if I start, for example, with their follow-up report, this is similar to what I do for my second valuation. And then I can still, if I want to take this and add to it, I can do that. I can do my agent resume in here. But that allows you to at least start with something. Hopefully that makes sense for everybody. Okay, let's just do this one. So once I have everything ready to go, I'm going to hit Publish Report. And this will take a few minutes. It'll show you right here. This should look familiar. It's kind of your dashboard screen. This shows me all of the CMA reports that I've done recently. Down here, I can menu through and go as far back as I want to. But if I want to pull up an old CMA report, this is a screen that I use. If I want to edit a report that I've already done, I know I showed you this at the beginning, but now it might make a little bit more sense. I go right in here to edit. And this will take me right into my first criteria page, and I can work my way through. If I don't want to adjust criteria, I don't want to adjust listings, I can click right here on Customize and skip right to this screen. Let's go back to our published. Well, take me back to my reports. Darn it. Click up here in CMA. Okay. All right, here was the one that we were working on. This one looks like it's ready to go. So I'm going to show you what your options are with these after you have published them. So view PDF. I want to see what I just did before I print this off. There's remember I selected just one of their baked in templates. It's not one of my templates, so it doesn't have my cover page. But this shows me just a PDF. This is where I would come if I want to print this and head out the door. I would hit view PDF. I'm good with it. Hit print right there, send it to a printer, and I'm out the door with it, with a paper copy of it. Just gives you a preview of everything that we did. This should all look somewhat familiar. Here's one of those pages, the first 12 listings in MLS. If I click on that, it does give me a bigger view of it, which is kind of nice. Same thing would happen if you send this to a client. Let's go back and I'll show you the other options that we have here. So I told you you could send your clients a slideshow preview that kind of gives them a synopsis of the CMA that you've put together for them. That's what I do. View slideshow, and I'll show you what this looks like. This is a preview of it. but there's a really easy way to send this to clients and it looks pretty sharp. So this is what shows up when they click on the link that you're going to send them. Down in the bottom right is the navigation for it. You can see that it still has my contact information down here. It's got my modern green theme ribbon up here at the top. As I click through on this, my contact information, it's got our logo little bitty tiny down there. I wish it was bigger. Here's a map for them of all of the listings I used. If they click on this, they'll be taken right to that listing. When they go to this, down in the corner, or let's go top to bottom, left to right. Up in the top gives them the address, kind of the gory details of the house, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. Over here, it gives them the sold price that it did sell and the date it sold on. Down here in my navigation, if I hit this down arrow, this shows them the additional pictures on this property. And this will show them all, not just the first 12, that's what was in your report, but if they click on more photos, they can see all the photos that were in MLS. This is why I love sending this link to them, is it's not just a static report. They feel like this is more of a live report for them, and they can click on these photos and mouse through these and see, okay, how does my house compare to this versus just looking at these pictures on paper. I think it's a little bit more impactful for them. Go back up here. As we scroll over, it'll take them through every one of the listings. I'm going to scroll fast, and I apologize if I make you a little dizzy. It takes them through listing by listing the comps that I used in this analysis. And then at the end, it gives them an average. This is that summary of comparable houses. It gives them a little bit more detail, your addresses, the list price, the sold price, percentage of list to sold price, days on market, and then price per square foot. And then a summary down here. 99% of homes sold for an average of 99% of the list price. Average 21 days on market. And then there's my suggested list price for them. Looks very similar to that page that's in the report. The next steps, I wish you could modify this, but you can't. But this is pretty general. If they click down, it gives them some additional information. This again are the pages that I've pulled into the report. And then this is the last screen. They can click here and they'll be taken to the full PDF of the entire report. They can also have the report, let me hit the back button here. Oh shoot, why isn't it taking me to the end? Hold on. I clicked on the wrong thing, I apologize. I wanna show you one other thing on that last screen. Sorry, I know I'm making you dizzy. They can also put their email address in here and it will send them an email PDF of that full report. Pretty slick, huh? So here's practically, I just want to show you how I use this feature. No, you can't, Mary, you can't remove next steps. I wish you could, but you can't. So I just include it because they're pretty general. And I've never had anybody say, okay, you said our next steps were X, Y, and Z. I like it. Yes, it's general. No, it's not exactly the order of I do the next steps, but at least there's a call to action, which I do like. So let me show you practically how I use this. I'm going to go back here. I sent this email to them last week. This is a real live actual client. If I can spell correctly. Oh my gosh, the sun is coming out. It's shining in my eyes, which is phenomenal. I'm having a hard time seeing my screen. Okay. So this is their, we've got two different houses we're working on right now. This is their valuation report. I'm pretty simple on this. So I'd been to their house last week, spent about an hour and a half with them going through the house, told them that I would send them an in-depth evaluation. So instead of sending them a big clunky PDF, I have now sent them this email that does tell them here my suggested list price. And then here are the links. If they want to look at the slideshow, they can look at it. I also go ahead and send them a link to download the full report. sometimes when I email, I get a little bit more in depth with some what I'm seeing with the comps analysis. I kind of do my own little bullet point analysis and then give them a link so they can look. And they've got some points of reference there in their email. So that's how I use those resources that you have on this page. So to get those links, again, I click on the little 3 dots here and I go copy the PDF link. It's copied now to my clipboard. I've clicked on that. I go over here. Let's just put forward so I can show you real quick. To put that link in the email, I right click, hit paste, and there's their link. Why I put that in the wrong spot. There's their link to access that PDF report. If I want to do the slideshow link, click on that, it's copied. Over here, slideshow link. I use Command V as well, and now it's pasted. Now when it gets sent out to them, it'll look just like this, these links. All right, how we doing? What questions do you all have? We've got about 10 minutes left. I just want to go through and answer some of your questions. Tell me if you want me to go back and show you again. That really covers everything that I wanted to cover as far as content. So yes, you do have a lot of homework to do. I will tell you, this class can be a little overwhelming. When I teach it in person and can see people's faces, I can see the, oh my gosh, I've got some work to do. You do, but you really spend a couple hours, block off 2 hours to come in here and to look at the pages that you have available to you, to get it set up. Once you have it set up correct, it's going to take you no time whatsoever to get through CMAs. Yes, you have to go into Matrix, you still have to do your research, but to get a beautiful presentation for your client, it's going to take you no time at all. Again, you've got all these resources here. I'll pull up this report. I mean, I could whip through this report in 5 minutes and have a beautiful thing to print off to take to my, my listing appointments when I go sit down with them for the first time, because I've gone in and I've spent some time getting all of this set up. I found that the finished product on this, it's a very polished look. It's easy to read. You know, it's easy to present. I found with some of the other CMA platforms, they just get real clunky. And you almost overwhelm them with too much information, which is what you don't want to do. They want to know 2 things. What do you think their house is going to sell for? And what are you going to do to sell it? So the fact that this doesn't have all the market stats, that's okay with me. They don't necessarily, I've had some, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on market stats with them. Yes, we're going to talk about it, but again, boil it down to the 2 things they want. What's their house going to sell for, and what are you going to do to sell it? And that can be accomplished in these Cloud CMA reports. All right, any other questions? If you want to unmute and ask, feel free, type it in the chat. I'll wait just a couple of seconds here before I end this class for everybody. I'm really glad that you could join today. Again, if you've got time, jump on that RPR class at noon. I think you're going to see some really good resources from Scott that will really take your, you know, the assets that you have for your clients and for your own knowledge to a whole nother level. I'm a huge RPR fan. I love it. It's got loads of information in it. You are most welcome, Pam. Thank you so much. I'm glad that I can be here to help everybody. I know it's a little different to do these virtual training sessions, but I'm kind of excited because we're adding to our video library of all this training, which is phenomenal. And it's been on my to-do list for a long time. So kind of nice to be able to be forced to do it, so to speak. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. Mary, appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to stop the recording.